Hi, this is Winston Cunningham. It is April 20th, 2023, and I want to talk to you about the sound of light. When I started doing concentration exercises at the School of Metaphysics and my consciousness began to expand, by the time I was teaching, I had learned that when I felt every cell in the body come alive through vibration, and I was hearing, I wouldn't know what to call it for a long time, but I was hearing the sound of light. And this let me know that I was focused and I could trust what impressions I was getting at that time. So I began to use that by the time I had become a teacher at the school, and that's part of the process. So as I say, I listened to this for many years before I understood what it was. And I had heard this sound once before when my kids were young, and we did a lot of camping. And next to the lake, when all the motorboats quit at night and everything is real still and quiet, it's like I could hear this particular sound, and it sounded like the complete orchestra of insects. It would just, and so it can be referred to as a sound of nature, because that's what I heard. But it would eventually dawn on me that I was hearing the sound of light, because light represents awareness. And when Jesus said, if thine eye be single, the body will be full of light, well, I began to experience that, because every cell in my body would vibrate, and I would hear this sound that I would eventually identify as the sound of light. And now I've been using it so long, I can turn it on at any time and even turn it up if I want to. So no matter what the situation, I can listen to the sound of light, and I can at least set the stage for some sort of insight. And I know I can trust this. And this is part of the relationship I've built between me and my subconscious mind, and of course that causes a connection for what is above, the spirit. So I use this to know when I can trust myself, because when you're teaching at School of Metaphysics, it's important that you are aware of where your students are. And this is the way it's done, because and I can remember hearing the first night in class on a tape played by Jerry Rothermel, because he couldn't be at every new class opening anymore, too many schools. But he said, you can't fool your teacher. And I didn't know what to think about that until I started teaching, and then I began to see that. You really can't fool your teacher, so it's a waste of time. And if you've been around the school very long, or if you've listened to anything like the Dream webinar, you can see that there are students and teachers and directors at various levels, and you'll see the amount of experience each one has, and occasionally there'll be a doctor available, and they'll always come in at the last, or be invited in, because they know that they will have possibly a greater clarity than anyone else, because by the time they have a doctorate, then they are, as I understand it, they have experienced in all 7 levels of mind. So I encourage you to pay attention, to listen to the sound of light. And many times I use it just to relax, because it's pleasing to me. And I suspect that a lot of people who are not familiar with mind, and they hear ringing in their ears, I think this may be what they're bothered by, but they don't know what to make of it, so they think there's something wrong. But to me, it's very pleasant, and I hear it pretty much all the time. Especially when I'm getting into the state and meditating, I may be in the steam room or the sauna at the YMCA, and provided there's not too many people there, I can always get into the state of mind that I'm looking for. And one of the things I do is listen to the sound of light. And I think that's what Jesus was referring to. That and most of what Jesus said, or a lot of what he said, is not relatable to most folks until they start going into mind. Until they start causing their consciousness to expand, because he was talking about this much, and most people understand this much, and they foolishly think that that's all there is, and so they don't look, and they're taught in the churches, don't look, and that's crazy. And so I just wanted to tell you about my experience with the sound of light, and I think this can be utilized by any person, but it does require some work. And I put in the work to do the exercises at School of Metaphysics, the concentration exercises, meditation, visualization, and I took advantage of the optional experience of the healing class, and I probably learned more about perception through doing the healing class because it's hands-on practice, and I still use that every morning. I try to shoot for 3:30, 4 o'clock, somewhere in that range, to do I go through my healing routine, a list of people that I pay attention to. And then after that, I'll go right into my meditation, and I'll spend about an hour, sometimes longer. But I've learned that at the midpoint and the sleeping hours, 3:30, 4 o'clock, I found to be the best time for me, because there's not much going on at that time of night. And I have to get up to use the bathroom anyway, so I'll just go ahead and plan to do my thing. And I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I'll continue, I think. And I even I'll spend a few minutes working a dream, because whatever dream I'm hanging on to, I'll go ahead and work with it. And I may take a few minutes to look up a reference related to the dream in the Dreams of the Soul, and then Matthew Interpreted, Universal Language of Mind. I use these two books, and sometimes other books, but mainly these two, to get some extra insight and to help me with the subtlety of the message that's being transmitted to me. And I've learned to value these tremendously. So if you would, when you're going through your expansion of light, expanding it out to the universe, as you learn to do with at the School of Metaphysics, or if you've not, then I think there's some writings available that you can order that will show you the process. But you'll begin to hear this sound of light as you expand the light from within you to encompass all of the universe. And so just by putting attention on the sound of light, you can hear it. And it's beneficial because every cell in the body comes alive. And that's got to be a good thing. Anyway, just wanted to talk about the sound of light. Thank you.